Hello and welcome. This is CS1101 Programming Fundamentals using Python, provided by University of the People. This is Week 1, Unit 1, Introduction and Fundamental Concepts. In this lecture, we will learn what is programming and programming steps, what is program, Python interpreter, how to download it and use it, Python 3 and Python 2, the difference between Python 3 and Python 2. And before we start, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like the video, and let's start with the first thing. What is programming? So programming or computer programming is a process that has several steps to solve a specific problem using programming languages on computers. So process means that we have an operation that execute step by step, then has step, then has steps until we solve this problem. So it's a process that has several steps to solve a specific problem. So we do programming when we have a problem. We start the programming process or programming operation when we have a problem that we have to solve, and we use in this operations or this process programming languages. Here he said a note for programming. Here he said a note, programming doesn't mean write a code, and write a code is a step in programming process. So writing a code isn't the whole programming process, it's just a step of the steps. Programming step or programming process. So programming steps start with define the problem. We start defining the problem, define our problems that we need to solve on the computer or using programming languages, or define the program objectives, what we need the program to do. Then we plan the program. We plan our program by find a solution and write an algorithm. Find the solution for our problem. Write an algorithm is write our steps. Write the steps we will use and write our code and write our program. Design the program. You start design your program. Put this function here and don't put this function here, and start design it. Then the last thing, we choose the programming language. Then we start write the code. After writing the code, we need to run, test, and debug. What does run, test, and debug mean? Run, execute the program and work on it. Test mean test each function in the program. Even if you didn't use this function while running the program, you still have to test it for the future. Identify. Then debug mean identify and fix errors. Then last thing we have to do is maintain and modify the program. We can do this in circle, in the loop. We start doing this in the loop if we still develop our program. Here we have the problems that we define by human. Then we have the steps that we call algorithm. Then after writing our steps, we go to the computer using programming language, enter our human instructions and what we call code. Then when you click run, it goes to something called compiler or interpreter. In this course we use Python, so we call it interpreter, and we will know what is the difference between Python and interpreter in the next lesson. In Python we don't use object code or linker. So from interpreter we use binary language, which is the language that computer can understand. This language starts with 0, 1, 0, and 1. 0 mean false, 1 mean true, or 0 mean that has electricity. 0 mean that doesn't have electricity. 1 mean that the process has electricity or the transistors. Then we have the problem has been solved, and we have our product, which is the program. Next we will see what is program. Program is a series of instructions that tells the computer precisely what action to perform step by step. Here this is the program definition from the book Think Python 2nd edition. He said a program is a sequence of instructions that specifies how to perform a computation. The computation might be something mathematical, So we can solve a mathematical problem using computer, and here you have the whole definition in section 1.1 in the Think Python second edition. Then we have the Python interpreter or the Python translator, that's something that translates the Python code, the code write on Python into a machine language or a binary code, into a binary code that the process can understand. So the Python interpreter, we can download it, the Python 3 interpreter, or what we can say Python language, from this website www.python.org. And when we go to this website, we'll go to download and choose the last version we have on our machine. Or we can use an online interpreter on this website. We write our code here, click on run, and it will run our code. Or we can use the interpreter directly by saying print hello. And click on enter, and it will print hello. And however, we can use this online interpreter to write our Python code. So let's back to slides. To download it in Windows, after downloading, you can start install it on Windows by click on add Python 3 to pass and click on install. You have to download Python 3 because there is a difference between Python 2 and Python 3. We'll see in next lecture, and we will discuss it in this lecture. So let's go. After install the Python on your Windows, you go to search and write Python 3.9, and you will have this Python shell or Python interpreter. You can write your code here and click enter, and it will execute your code. Or you can write idle, or what we call IDE, and start write your code here. But idle has a text editor. You can write several code in your text editor by idle. So here we will discuss the difference between Python 3 and Python 2. So the first difference between Python 3 and Python 2 is the print. Like we saw in Python interpreter or line interpreter, when I wrote print, it shows something on the screen. We can change it to anything we want, like print just hello, and click on run, so it will print hello world and hello. So print is a function that shows something on a screen. So in Python 2, the print is a special statement. We will see that what special statement mean in the next lesson, and what is the function mean in the next lesson. But what we have to know right now is the special statement. We don't have to put a parenthesis in the special statement, but in the function we have to put a parenthesis. Here the return type of division of integer is integer. So the return type of 1 divided by 2 equals half, but in Python 2 it will return just 0. Like we saw here, 1 divided by 2 returns 0, not 0.5, and 5 divided by 4 returns 1, not 1.25. But in Python 3, they fixed it, and the return type of the division of the integer is a floating point number, or what we can call in Python is float. So 1 divided by 2 returns 0. Python. Sorry, this is I made a mistake while writing this slide. 1 divided by 2 returns just a half, not a 0. Returns a half, 0.5, not a 0. And 5 divided by 4 returns 1.25. And the third different we will know in this lesson is we can leave 0 while printing numbers, while printing integers. So we can say print 0, 1, but in Python 3 we can print 0, 1 because it will display an error. We will know why in next lesson. 0, 1, printing 0, 1 on Python 2 will display 1. This lesson has been done. I used this reference, the Sync Python, how to sync like a computer science, the second edition. See you next